Jamal Adams came out and said that he wants to be traded from the New York Jets today. And I've said this over and over again. No one player should be the centerfold of an organization, especially a safety who still has 3 years left on his contract and still is owed a significant amount of money with his rookie contract. Now, the problem is, and I know a lot of Jet fans are upset about this. I was speaking to Josh before the show via text message, and he says, are you listening to what Jamal Adams is requesting? Jamal Adams wants $100 million. Landon Collins got $86 million from the Washington Redskins last year, where he has set the toll and the pole for safeties moving forward.
Yeah, you wonder now if Jamal Adams, if he does end up making that kind of money, will we see?
He's not going to make that money right now, especially with 3 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
Not the Cowboys, not the Chargers, not any of these organizations that he is trying to propose a trade to. And I'm sure Joe Douglas is going to go out there and tell Jamal Adams, if you think you can find a trade where we're going to get as much back for you as what you're worth, then you can be traded.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen.
And again, because of the safety position isn't really as prioritized as something like a receiver or a corner, which again, $100 million, you're close to the top corners in the league and top receivers in the league in terms of getting paid. And those are more premier positions. We'll see how that ends up affecting the market. And like you said, he's better than Landon Collins, so he should get more money. But again, is that the whole market, or is that the Redskins overpaying defensive players like they always do?
Landon Collins got that contract because his rookie contract was up. That's why he got $86 million. Jamal Adams is 24 years old. He has almost 3 years left on his contract, and he can be franchised for 2 of them. So he does not deserve that kind of money right off the bat. Now, has he had a good 3 years of his career so far? Absolutely. He's gotten better and better every single year. He was an all-pro player last year. He was one of the best safeties in the league last year. When you compare and contrast some of the best safeties in the league, you can only probably compare maybe 2 or 3 safeties to Jamal Adams.
Honey Badger, I would say Harrison Smith are probably the 2 that are directly close, and Derwin James is another one with a lot of upside too as a young safety.
Besides those guys, there is nobody as good or as better, or you can put him in the same vicinity as Jamal Adams. But Jamal Adams, and I'm going to say this again, he is not a defensive back. And what I mean by that, he is a defensive back. He's a safety, but he's not a corner. And corners are more money on the market than there are safeties. Now, safeties are getting more and more money because they can do more and more. They can get to the quarterback. They can rush the passer. They can do all the different things in the open field. They can defend tight ends, defend wide receivers, slot wide receivers, depending on the player and how fast they are in the middle of the field.
What it is, too, is shutdown corners are also particularly hard to find in comparison to safeties. Safeties you can generally find later in the draft a lot of the time. You're seeing a lot of these hybrids, whether they're safety-corner hybrids, safety-linebacker hybrids, and it also depends on what the coach ends up doing with them. You need a corner to be able to lock down a receiver, a top receiver, no matter what scheme you're in. With safeties, they'll play down in the box, they'll rush the passer, they'll play deep zones if it's a cover 2 type thing. So they do a lot of different things. And so safeties and linebackers as a whole, it's more coaching, whereas you need to be able to rush the passer and you need to have a shutdown corner.
As a Jet fan, it would be bothering me, and it bothers a lot of Jet fans, not only throughout social media, but throughout sports media around the country. I mean, every single topic right now on ESPN, CBS, or any of these dials when it comes to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, the big story is Jamal Adams requests a trade. Here's the thing. Jamal Adams can request whatever he wants from the New York Jets. Until the Jets get what they want from him, he's going nowhere. And he can say he's not playing this year. He can say, well, I'm just not going to play. I'm going to sit out all year. Well, then you're not going to get paid. And Jamal Adams is all about money. As you can see, he's all about money, because if he wasn't all about money, he wouldn't be bringing it up right now in his 4th year, actually his 3rd year, full year of his career as an NFL player.
Yeah, it's his 4th year. It's his last year as the rookie deal, and then he has the extension because he's a first-round pick. But again, this is something that he wants to get paid like it right away, and that's the new wave of players. They get more stubborn now. They're getting fussy, and a lot of them are holding out because of it.
And Jamal Adams is not Darrelle Revis, okay? I'm sorry, he's not. Jamal Adams is a great player. Darrelle Revis is one of the greatest corners of all time. He is one of the greatest corners of all time. So him going to the Jets and demanding money or demanding a trade, that's different from Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams still has a lot more to prove as a safety in this league. He has a lot more proof about winning. He hasn't won anything. A matter of fact, since he's been a New York Jets, the Jets have not seen one playoff win or one playoff game.
Or one winning season.
Yeah, so Jamal Adams, who's come out and said whatever he wants to say and said everything and preached himself as a team player, as a team captain, when you come out and say the things that you have said about this organization in the last couple of weeks, only shows you one thing as a Jet fan. This guy is not a team leader. He doesn't want to be there. It's all about the money to this guy.
And it's a lot of young players now, and that's why they're holding out as a result. Now, again, the question will be, will he be able to reasonably meet with any team, no matter who it is, with the contract? Because there's no way he's going to get $100 million. I can't see that, especially with the $84 million that Landon Collins got being from the Redskins. That seems like, all right, are you going to judge the Redskins who overpay defensive players all the time as the setting the market? Because there's a lot of other smarter teams out there.
And Brandon, I see what Brandon's saying right now on our Facebook feed. He says the Jets are the NFL's graveyard. No, it's not.
Actually, the Browns?
Actually, it's the Browns. And Arizona is not too far from them either.
I wouldn't say them as the second one. I would say Detroit is the second one. Or
whatever the case is, it's not just everybody keeps bringing the Jets and making fun of the Jets. It's not the Jets. And the Jets are doing the right thing right now. They're not giving Jamal Adams what he wants. Why should the Jets give Jamal Adams the money that he wants when he's still under contract? Now, you see quarterbacks. How many quarterbacks have demanded contracts in the middle of their rookie deal and they've never gotten it? Dak Prescott being one of them. Dak Prescott, I'm sorry to say this. Dak Prescott, who had a sensational year last year, got a $32 million franchise tag put on this year. To me, a quarterback is more important than a safety. And the fact that Jamal Adams wants quarterback money, he's asking for $100 million. $100 million.
Right, which is a profile of probably an average quarterback, but still a quarterback that can be
average quarterback. The highest paid quarterback in the league is $139 or $135 million.
Right.
So he's only making $35 million less than a starting quarterback.
Yeah, so it's still a starting quarterback is my point. And a starting quarterback you need to be able to have any level of success on a team. I mean, there are some exceptions we've seen over the years, but it's very rare.
How are you going to build your organization if you're going to pay a strong safety $100 million? That's the problem right now where the New York Jets lie. Joe Douglas knows what he's doing, and as a Jet fan, you should be very happy that Joe Douglas is taking the bull by its horn. And I think that's what he's doing right now. He's telling Jamal Adams, if you feel that you can find a better deal or you can find a team that's going to give us what you're worth, then go out there and try to request a trade. Now, and we will oblige you.
Now, the biggest thing they can't do either, though, is they can't sell short. They can't just trade him.
They're not going to do that.
I agree with you. I don't see Joe Douglas being the guy to do that. But again, they also can't just rush and tend to the players' need all the time, because we've seen that backfire on teams as well.
If Joe Douglas wanted to trade him, he would have traded him before the draft. And there were stories coming out of Jets land that he wanted out, and then all of a sudden Jamal Adams came and talked to the press, and he said that's not true. Now all of a sudden it comes out today that he wants out of the New York Jets organization. The reason why he wants out of the New York Jets organization, because you're hearing stories that the Cowboys have been so interested in him, they're willing to give up a significant package to get him. The problem is the Jets wanted 2 first-round draft picks and a 3rd round from the Cowboys before the draft, and the Cowboys weren't willing to give that up, especially their draft pick this year. Yeah. Now all of a sudden the Cowboys are in the mix again, and they're saying that they're interested in Jamal Adams. What are you going to give up? You're going to give the Jets your 1st round next year and your 1st round the year after, and both picks are probably going to be late round 1st round draft picks, which to me is not worth Jamal Adams.
You wonder if they are also trying to drive up the asking price from other teams too, because we saw that happen when they traded for Amari Cooper. The only reason they did it because the Eagles were giving him a 2nd, and I think a 2nd next year or something like that. That's the only reason they gave up a 1st. So there's going to be some instances where those kinds of things end up being unreasonable. And again, because Dallas did that, it seems like they're not afraid to pull the trigger. It's just a matter of, again, how much urgency do you need? Are you that missing piece away? Which I don't know if you see from a lot of teams, and especially not from the Cowboys, who lost a lot of defensive pieces.
If you're a Jet fan, you should not be upset that Jamal Adams has answered back and said he wants a trade. That shouldn't upset you, because the reason why the Jets drafted Ashton Davis in the 3rd round was the fact that they believed that either they were going to move on from Marcus May or they were going to move on from Jamal Adams. I believe they had plans, if Marcus May has a good season this year, to extend Marcus May's contract. Because Marcus May, in the second half of the season, was their best secondary player on their team. He was better than Jamal Adams in the second half of the season last year.
Yeah, a matter of his health, as we all know, for Marcus May. But again, they can maybe get a value if he does end up.
And you don't have to pay Marcus May Jamal Adams money. You would pay Marcus May maybe between $45 and $48 million to somebody like Jamal Adams that is asking prices probably between 90 and 100.
Right.
So getting Marcus May, a second-round draft pick where you can extend his contract next year, you bring in Ashton Davis, you move him in Jamal Adams' spot, who I believe Ashton Davis is a ball hawk. Everything that you heard about him, he's a raw player. A lot of people believe he could be arguably the best safety in last year's draft if he grows into the position. So, and with Williams running the show over there and what he does with secondary players and how they develop under his defense, I think Ashton Davis fits very, very well, and he fits like a glove in Williams' defense. So C.J. Mosley coming back and what they're going to be doing, Avery Williamson coming back, their secondary is going to be a lot better this year. They added some secondary help this offseason. I think they're going to be a lot better team. So Jamal Adams coming out and saying that he wants to be traded, so go find a team that's going to offer you the reality of players that you're going to have to give up to get somebody like a Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams has to understand something. The Jets are not just going to give him away. No. They're not just going to say, here you go, here's Jamal Adams, and we'll take whatever you're going to give us.
Don't do what the Lions did with Darius Slay.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They want a first and either a second or a third, or they want 2 firsts and a third. Everything I've heard, Joe Douglas with the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago before the draft, he wanted 2 first rounds and a third or a fourth for Jamal Adams. I don't think he's going to talk that down knowing that the draft is now over. I think the Cowboys, if they want Jamal Adams, they're going to have to open up their checkbook. That's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to pay Jamal Adams, and then they're going to have to give up a significant amount of draft stock to the Jets, which could cost the Cowboys in the future a huge problem on developing some of the players and drafting players for their future.
Goodbye, Leighton Van Der Esch and Dak Prescott.
So Dak Prescott's gone anyways. I do
do not think they're going to bring Dak Prescott back.
If
they sign Adams to that, he's definitely gone.